Good afternoon and welcome to the Brazilian American Chamber of Commerce's sixth installment of the webinar series, COVID-19, What Lies Ahead? A discussion with Elie Horn on the future of real estate and philanthropy in Brazil. I am John Welch, Executive Director of the BACC, and on behalf of the Chamber, we wish you all health and safety in this difficult time. Now, let me introduce the moderator and organizer of today's discussion, Simone Morato, the President of the Brazilian American Chamber of Commerce. She is also the Chief Executive Officer and Senior Executive Vice President at Safra National Bank of New York. Her full bio, as well as that of Elie Horn, is available on the link on the webinar invite and on the Chamber's website. Before turning the screen over to Simone, I would ask you to please use the Q&A tab for questions. You can make them at any time, and we will look to answer them after the discussion between Simone and Elie. Simone?
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you to all participants that are with us in this webinar. And special thanks to Mr. Elie Horn for being here with us. Senhor Elie, as he's known in the market, is a very successful businessman, founder of Cyrela, and an amazing human being who I have the pleasure to have known for over 20 years. We will have a chance of listening to him and his opinion, not only about Brazil and about the real estate market, but also his favorite subject of philanthropy in Brazil. Without further ado, Seu Elie, welcome and thank you very much for being with us. Am I going to start the conversation about Brazil first? You have built your life and your company in Brazil. And as a self-made man who started selling goma laca, which I don't know the translation in English, but it's a kind of a glue that you put in wood. He was selling that door to door in São Paulo. I'm sure you have faced very challenges and various different aspects of life, and you saw many crises in Brazil. So how do you see Brazil now, and how you see the economic situation in general in these next 2 years before we have a new election in Brazil?
I was born optimist, and I work in real estate. I have no choice to do other things. I'm optimistic because Brazil has problems a lot. Always has problems. Always there resolves the problems. The problem is our politicians today are fighting a lot between themselves. They need to make more peace. And Brazil is a very rich country, a lot of good people, a lot of intelligent people. I think will be past crisis like always. I told you I'm optimist. I don't fear because it is not the first crisis. It will not be the last. It was not the worst. We had the worst crisis before, much worse.
I agree with you. I think we saw worse before, and I think now it's more the uncertainty or how long this is going to take and how it's going to end. But specifically on the real estate sector, on your area, I mean, how do you see construction in Brazil? And I don't know, different sectors, the residential, the office space, the shopping malls. Are you concerned? Do you have to stop doing new developments? What is the situation in general, not only for Cyrela in the real estate side?
In the shopping centers, they are hit now because they are closed. So it is a big expense without revenues. I hope in 2 weeks from now, 1 month from now, they will begin to open. The offices, for the time being, are okay. The rental people are paying 99% of the rents, so there is no problem. In apartments, we are selling in the luxury 80% less, in the middle class maybe 50% less, and in the low middle class we are selling maybe 30–40% less. We are going to begin to launch in the crisis via digital. They are going to launch 2 buildings in next week and 2 weeks from now. So it will be the first that we are going to launch into that crisis. We're going to see what is going to happen. But normally the brokers are the main element of sales, not the newspaper, not the ad. So with the digital propaganda, we hope to have big success.
But do you think with this level of unemployment, and I saw that the number came yesterday, another 1 million on top of the 12, 13 million, I mean, it hits directly real estate, no?
It hits, it doesn't hit. I told you, we are used to Brazil. I'm working for the last 65, 66 years. We are used to go up and to go down.
So it's, for you, it's just another crisis.
Another gymnastic.
And do you think the way we are seeing here in New York and the discussion that people are more concerned to live in big cities and some people start working for the suburbs, do you think in Brazil this discussion of big cities like São Paulo, do you think you're going to have some change of demographics and people looking into living outside of São Paulo, or Brazil is different from US?
In my point of view, it's irrelevant. Memory is short. People will forget everything in some months. So it's the way human beings are used to behave. Nothing will change.
But do you think that even like here in New York, because I know you know not only Brazil, but you know well the sector in US as well. Do you think here is the same rationale that the memory is short, or do you think the impact here is different?
There are big difference in behavior because you have much more urbanization than we have. We cannot afford to have a lot of avenues of roads because we don't have them, and you have them in the States. So to live in a suburb in the States is much easier than in Brazil. Brazil is a lot of problems. People will not change, not for the time being.
Okay. Talking a little bit more.
What is happening now, some second resort, some second apartment or second house around São Paulo for holidays. Now with the crisis, with the quarantine now that we are passing by, a lot of people are living outside São Paulo for the last 3 months. So maybe it's going to be a way of living, but I don't think so.
Okay. Last week we spoke to Zeco, our friend from JHSF, and he mentioned that some people were living in that, what is the name? Boa Vista, Fazenda Boa Vista. Yes, that he has. But I agree with you. It's more of a weekend thing and maybe a quarantine thing than a definitive thing.
First time in the life of maybe this Boa Vista, 97% of the houses are occupied. You can never see 97% occupied. It's almost a miracle. This is because a lot of people are living outside São Paulo waiting the end of the quarantine.
Talking a little bit about Cyrela specifically, Cyrela became a public company in 2005. Looking back to this decision of becoming public, do you have any regrets? If we weigh the benefit of being public and the cost of being public, what is that balance for you?
I had two options: to have more money in the pocket, or to be a slave forever, depending on the goodwill of people. I decided to be free. So instead of inviting people to join me for the incorporation, I decided to go public and to have my own money and to be free from other people. I think it was good. I'm not regretting. The cost of opening a company is not too much. It's worse. The important thing is that you are not anymore. I believe I feel myself totally free because we never did something wrong. So we don't have problem with our shareholders. I thought, please.
No, my discussion would be a little bit about the analysts and the quarterly reports, because there was a conversation here. I think it was when Trump became president, the SEC and Trump came with a discussion of changing the quarterly reporting to semi-annual, to 2 times a year. And I was thinking about things that we discussed in the past of this push that you have to show growth every quarter, and that sometimes it impacts your decision. So how do you see that? Would prefer to have something different than quarterly? How do you deal with that situation every quarter?
When we began to be public in 2005, we were stupid. We went after the analysts and we tried to open new cities. We opened 60 cities. And happily it was a bad policy. So we decided to close the cities. We remained with 3. Today, I think we are more mature. We don't go after all the analysts. Doesn't mean we don't respect them, but we know better what is for us, what's good for us than they.
But do you think it's healthier to have something that's not such a pressure every 3 months?
I told you, there's no more pressure because we feel ourselves free. When you are pressured, when someone make pressure on you. Today we are more mature. We know what is the public market means. We know what is the market. We know what is the country. So we don't go after pressure.
And looking at the stock market in general, I mean, the prices are quite depressed. So since you are an optimistic, do you think it's an opportunity when you look at the price of the stocks of real estate companies in Brazil, or do you think this is going to continue for a while because of the situation in Brazil?
What is a yo-yo, Simone?
Oi?
Yo-yo, what is a yo-yo?
Yo-yo? It's like, I don't know the name.
Exactly, up and down.
Up and down.
The prices are up and down. You are used to. We don't do anymore the depression of the prices, low prices. Like a vaccine, you get something, you got antibodies against sickness. After 60 years of working, 65, I think we don't feel any more the pressure from people.
No, I'm sure you don't, but in general, as an investor, do you think would be an opportunity?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Now, in the prices that we have now.
The prices went down. It was a good time to buy. Now they are a little bit up. I don't know if it's a good deal now.
In dollars, a good price still, no?
Yeah, but we need to have cash too at the same time. Don't forget. You die if you don't have cash. If you have cash, you get alive, and then you are reborn again. Unless you give us credit, very low interest, -1% per month per year.
You have a blank check with me.
Okay, tomorrow send me the money.
Mr. Elie, Mr. Horn, becoming public, I mean, you still hold the control of the company. And at a certain point, you were always the face of Cyrela, but you have to decide on your succession. And I know after a long process, you decided to have your 2 sons, Efraim and Rafael, to become the co-CEOs. How was that process? I mean, difficult to choose your own kids, how you make sure that, you know, they want to do that. Like for other people with family business, and you cannot use Safra as an example, what do you recommend and how did you do that?
Why not? Mr. Joseph Safra told me a very good advice one day. Let your sons have the job now. And if they're going to make some errors, you'll be alive to correct them. After your death, it's finished. I think it was one of the wisest advice I ever received in my life. I tried to do what he told me. It is going very well.
He did the same.
He did the same, but he told me this before.
Yeah. And how is the family dynamic, the 2 brothers, you, because you were always very involved, hands-on, workaholic, good, strong personality. I mean, how is to give the day-to-day to them, and how is to, you know, make decisions together, and sometimes you disagree, you have the experience, they have a different view. How you handle that? If
I disagree, I lose, because the important thing is democracy. I respect the democracy, I respect the authority. If your son is president, if you don't respect him, he will have no authority. So I lose a lot of times, a lot of vote, but it is a way of democracy, the way of being non-anymore president. The first time that I gave up the presidency, it was very sad for me. I lost a girl. I felt I lost someone from my family. But anyway, I had even some tears. But this happens when you are in love with someone. I like very much the company. I've been with it for the last 50 years almost. Cyrela is a very nice name. And to them, okay, Ephraim takes care of the ethics of launching lands and selling, and Rafael takes care of finance, human relations, so on. Both of them are better than me, so I'm happy.
Very good. You know, I saw Ephraim speaking in an event, and he reminds me a lot of you as well. And Rafael, I met with you, and he's brilliant as well. So I agree with you. It's in very good hands. I don't know better or worse. I'm just saying it's in very good hands. Regarding other investments, Mr. Elie, I know real estate is the core business, but lately you have been investing in different areas. I would like to understand a little bit what was the rationale of investing, for instance, in the hospitals, in the healthcare system, and which other sectors are you interested in? And if this is a movement that you're gonna do more in Brazil, or if you are looking other things outside of Brazil. So what is the rationale? Who helps you on that? How you set up where you're gonna put money outside of the real estate?
First thing, we had always family office, very well in finance. We are doing this for the last 15, 20 years. Private finance, private family finance. Then we have the rental company, Cyrela Commercial Properties, that are shopping in the offices. We are partners with Canadian Pension Fund into the offices that we have in Brazil. Then we went, 3 years ago, went into a hospital because we were offered to go in a launching of a new company of hospitals. We decided it was a good deal after making some research. Today, the company has 8 hospitals in São Paulo and around São Paulo. We are trying to invest something more in new deals. We don't know what. We are searching. We are not in a hurry. Why not in real estate? Because it's not good to be too big. But the country cannot afford you to be big. In the crisis, you have a lot of problems. So we decided not to grow too much, and to be liquid, and to have investing in other things too at the same time. Maybe we go someday to a bank.
Let me know.
Yeah, sure.
When you do these investments like hospital, which is a different thing, do you have more a passive approach, or you want to be more active, have a place in the board? How does it work?
I am almost more passive than active. At the same time, I forgot to tell you that Cyrela opened a fintech, Cashme, that is doing very well.
Oh, I didn't know that. That is news for me.
She opened for the last 3 years. It's doing very well. She give loans to small businesses and take as a guarantee real estate. It is doing very well.
Yeah, so I'm sure soon you're gonna have a bank, like our friend Rubens.
Yes.
Yeah. Talking about him, let's change subject a little bit to your favorite subject, which is philanthropy. As all of us, I think, know that you are the only Brazilian in the Giving Pledge, and I'm very proud of that, to have you with such, you know, important people and people that have this mentality in the world. But how, I have 2 questions on that. How was this decision made, and why exactly you chose to do through the Giving Pledge?
Giving Pledge is only a promise. You don't do nothing via Giving Pledge. You don't do nothing via them. You only promise to give 60% to charity. That's all. Then you have one time or 2 times a year meeting if you want to, in order to strengthen your belief. About philanthropy, I decided when I was maybe 35, more or less, my father gave 100% of his belonging to charity. I decided to give 60% at that time by belonging to charity. Why to charity? Because charity is something that is very important for life. When you are born, why you are born? You are born for a test. You are born to do something in your life. You are not born only to eat, to dress, to work. You must do good. You must do good in order to make a better world. If you don't do good, you are losing your trip to this world. If you can come in another world after your death, it will cost much more. Because of religious belief and because of justice, I decided to give 60% to charity. When I was public in 2005, the company went up, the stock went up a lot of times. So I decided to keep my promise and give the 60% to charity. And I decided 5 years ago to join the Giving Pledge just to have some more energy, more convincing people to do good together. Besides this, after 60%, we opened 3 social organizations in Brazil. One to fight for the abused girls that under 18 years that are abused in Brazil. You have 500,000 girls in Brazil abused, prostitute, slaves. We're trying to help them. We made a documentary 2 weeks ago. I sent you a copy.
I watched it.
Anyone who wants a copy, please tell Simone, we'll send it to him. It is important to fight for this cause. We are very proud and happy to try to do something. We made with Meni and the Geno Matar and Bia Vidigal, another company, Bay Mayor, that trying to duplicate the social benefit GDP in Brazil from 0.2 to 0.4. In the States, it's almost 2%. We need to teach people to do good, not only to do good when there's a crisis, to do good the whole year, the whole month, the whole week, the whole day. And finally, we have Institute Cyrela that does good things to the community around our shopping center, about our residential apartment and offices. Besides this, we have a lot of compromise, maybe 100 ONGs that we help them. I'm very proud of this. It's the only thing that give meaning to the life, that is not selfish. Because everything you do, it is for selfish purpose. Family is for your selfish purpose. When you do good to outside people that you don't know, you are being much more human in the plain word, in the plain meaning of the word.
I saw the documentary. I sent to a few people, and I will put on the link after. I'll give to John to put on the chamber, which I think it's very important. It's a strong documentary, very important, against child exploitation. And I know that when you got involved into that, you start traveling around Brazil. And I remember you mentioned to me, I think you went to the north part, to Manaus and Northeast, and that changed your, maybe you already had, for what you said, the Jewish beliefs and your father and all that, you already had that DNA, and you always gave money away. But I think that changed your approach, no, when you saw all that reality in Brazil.
I'm giving 80% of my time to charity and 60% from the money. At the end, it's almost 70-80% altogether to charity. I'm very glad because I told you it gives me a meaning to life. It's very important. When you die, what you think, what you did do, which good thing you did in your life. You think about the family, about the children, the wife, parents, and good things that they did. Someone who didn't do nothing, only spent money for his own leisure, he will have a very heavy conscience, but only when he dies. Why to wait this day? Let's think before today. Let's try today to know, to analyze our conscience and to do good right now, today, not tomorrow.
You're absolutely right. When you started this, the right way to say is Libertas, so Elie, Libertas Institute.
Liberta.
Liberta. The Liberta Institute has some link with Columbia University. What is that link? What did you do with Columbia?
They gave us some strategies. They gave us places where to make speeches, and they helped us to fight. By the way, the documentary I sent to you was seen by 17.6 million persons in Brazil. 17.6 million persons. The trailer.
It's excellent, and it's excellent. And again, I'll put it available. And I think it's, again, it's a difficult subject because I think everything that touches a child touches ourselves very hard. But I think it's our obligation to watch it, to see, to discuss, and to act upon it like you are doing, the same way you are doing.
Normally, my father taught me the following: do what people don't do. So every cause, everything that we do in charity, we try to do something new. We don't repeat what people do because they do it better than us. We try to do what they don't do. In this case of the girls abandoned, nobody wants to take care of them. We want to fight for them. We are doing some success. We made that three times more reclamações. People make three times more reclamações.
The complaints in when they denounce,
yes.
Denúncias.
And today, Brazilian people are beginning to discuss the subject. It was taboo for a lot of years.
Yeah, and for you to call, it's asterisco 100, right? It's star 100 in Brazil. You call and you say that there is a problem.
I told you we have 3 times more complaints than before. That's good. Yeah. More complaints, more justice, more police.
So Elie, on the Movimento Bem Maior that you have with Rubens, I know that you said that in Brazil, people donate like 0.2% of GDP, and in US it's like 1.5%.
Almost
I know
2.
It's recent, almost 2. Do you see that changing? Because you said something. I think Brazilians are generous when you have a crisis. If you remember the Mariana accident,
yes,
or the Corona, they do that but how do you make sure that, as you said, long term?
Let me tell you something. What is to do good is to be aware of your mission, of your time, of your passing through this world. When people don't give because they don't know, normally they are selfish, but a lot of times they don't know what it is. They are afraid to give money to someone who will steal the money at the end. So if you explain to them that God is here, that you'll be judged if you don't do it, that you are doing good anyhow, that it is cheaper to do it now than later. If you are aware of your conscience, of your duty, I think you will do it. People will finish by doing good. This crisis showed that Suzy.
Dona Suzy can come and say hi too if she wants, so Elie.
But
I am very shy, Simone.
Hi.
I'm hearing all the time.
Where we were?
We were saying that during this crisis, we are talking about.
We saw a lot of solidarity. We saw a lot of people helping, giving money, giving time. Not one, not two, hundreds. I think it was very good way of behaving, very good way of thinking. My message was, it's good to give in a crisis, it's better to give every day, not only in crisis. This we need to learn. We need to feel always the problem, not only when there's a crisis. Like a mother love to the child is always, not only someday, tomorrow, today. They love him, they love the child every day, every moment, every time, everything. We need to have the conscience of helping every time, every moment of our life. As I told you, it's the only test that you pass in life, the big test. If you don't pass the test, it's worse for us. It's a win-win situation.
Were you able to convert another Brazilian to the pledge?
I tried. So one was going to accept, but the wife didn't want to join. So I hope someday they will come. It will take some time. I tried. I didn't succeed, but I tried. And I tried something. A woman, I would not say the name, a very good woman, one day came to the office. She said, I want to give. She gave till now almost $1 million to charity that we told her what to use. So we have some effect on people.
It's a process.
It's a process, a question of time.
Yes, I agree, because it's a cultural change.
How many months you stayed in the university? 4 or 5 years. Then to be a president to take you at least 10 years more. We have time.
I agree. And I think it changes. I mean, here, if you go, my kids went to school here since kindergarten. They are involved in raising money and do things. They have to participate. So it's kind of an education, cultural change that eventually you are helping promoting in Brazil.
Yesterday, I was doing a live for an institution that has children with Down problems. I told them, someone told me, it's good to be public, to publicize your deeds. I said, till 5 years ago, I was very shy. I wouldn't speak about this. I would do, but not speak publicly. Then someone told me, if you are selfish, you do what you do now. You do good for you, only for you, not for others. So I decided to speak. Now I'm speaking. I'm speaking in order to awaken in people the conscience to do good. Since yesterday I said to the audience to give at least each one to give 2 reais as charity, that they will choose where. And 2, it was a joke, just a way to give money. Then each one of the audience yesterday promised to bring 10 people to make charity. Slowly, we try to make changes, slowly.
Yeah, congratulations for that. When I received a letter from you and Lehman, and I don't remember who was the other person signing the letter from Gerando Falcões, I was very happy that you were involved on that platform as well. And I told you I joined. And I think we have more transparency in Brazil now. We have serious people working in different entities. And I think you have enough opportunities to get serious people, you know, to give your money, because a lot of good people are working on that.
To tell you something nice. We helped a company that helps blind girls to dance ballet in order to have self-esteem. I once saw the eyes of a blind ballerina, dancer, and I saw infinity. When you see infinity, you feel light, you feel you travel, you gravitate. It was fantastic emotion.
It's priceless.
Priceless.
Yeah.
It never gets out from your head.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
We don't need to go to space to gravitate. We can do it in life. It's cheaper than to pay $1 billion for to go to
a SpaceX to go to
whatever.
Okay. Let's just check if we have some questions, John. If you want to ask the questions of the participants, please.
There's actually quite a few already. Here's the first one. Based on your experience, a seismic crisis such as this pandemic would bring a major change for good in society. Would that bring a major change for the good of society?
We hope it will do good. We hope. We are not sure. If man doesn't always believe in messages, but at the end, I think I'm optimistic. I think people will change. Not everybody, but some of them will change. If we don't want to change, we'll have more problems in life. In this virus that came from God has a message for humanity. Do good, don't be selfish, be united, and be solidarity with other people.
That's great advice. And certainly, at least my experience so far is that it is happening. So, anyway, here's another question. In the past, Cyrela was all over Brazil, from São Paulo to Porto Alegre to São Luís. From my understanding, Cyrela is more present in São Paulo, Rio, and perhaps the south in the country. Is there a chance of Cyrela investing in other regions of the country? And how do you see the real estate market in the Northeast?
We don't intend to go back to the cities of Brazil. We are very happy to stay in São Paulo, Rio, and Porto Alegre. Sometimes we have something in Minas Gerais, but we don't want to go to spread because the markets are unequal. That's why we are trying to find new places where to invest. We lost a lot of money in
Yeah,
the north.
John, you were, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, finish your thought.
Yeah.
We lost a lot of money in the north, northeast, so we don't want to repeat the experience.
Here's another question. Do you believe that the real estate market can be immune to any disruption as seen in other industries? You kind of already answered it, but maybe you can elaborate just a bit more on that.
Who did the question? What's the name of the person?
It's Patrick Barros.
Patrick Barros. You love your children? If they are good or not, you love them because they're children. I am used to work in real estate. It's my whole business. I must love it if I want to live in peace. By coincidence, I love it very much. I like to work. I like real estate. I think they will be immune against all the problems in life. People need to live. They need a room. They need a sailing. You cannot live in the street. So for good, for bad, the residential sector will always be alive.
Agreed.
Very good. Here's another question. Thank you for your time today, as we all have that sentiment. Do you agree with this? The world will see high numbers of companies going bankrupt as a result of COVID-19. Unemployment as a result will be high for perhaps 2 years. Consumer confidence and consumer spending will be much lower. How much will Brazil suffer, I guess, on an absolute basis and a relative basis? And how soon before we see these effects? And perhaps how long they will last?
If I would have known for sure, I would be president, but I don't know. So nobody knows. Yeah. What we hope is that things will change quickly for the best. Nobody knows exactly.
Very good. Here's a question that actually I would have as well. I do quite a bit of charity work. So do you think the Brazilian government will give more fiscal stimulus for individuals and companies to do philanthropy, mainly tax deductibility, which Brazil does not have right now?
For charity, you mean?
Yes, for that philanthropic.
I don't think so, but again, I'm going to repeat. When you want to give, you give besides fiscal stimulus. If you need fiscal stimulus to give, is not a good thing to me.
Very good. Simone, do you have any other questions? I have some, but I'll leave it to you, and then I'll
on this thing on the fiscal side, so Elie, I know that there is some type of law that they're lobbying to pass in the Congress, and maybe it's not relevant for you, but don't you think that is one of the reasons that US gives more, and maybe it will help other people to give more if you have a better fiscal framework for donations?
Without doubt, it will be better, but it's not the main cause. United States give more because the education and the way of behaving is bit different than Brazil and South America. The English people give more than the Spanish people, Portuguese people. It's a question of culture. We need to change that.
Okay. Going back to the question that Patrick did, and I agree with you, people will always have to have a place to live and a place to work. Maybe not necessarily they work in the same type of office that they used to work before. We'll see. But talking about the shopping malls, what we are seeing here in US in retail is very, very complicated with all the bankruptcies of the retail sector and all that. Do you think Brazil is still far away because of the internet is not the same and you don't have the same logistic of distribution? How do you see the retail and real estate on that side in Brazil?
The United States has 10 times more shopping than Brazil. The population is 50% more. The number of shopping is 10 times more. So it's normal that we have you will have more problems than we have in that sector. The shopping in Brazil were not doing so bad before the crisis. Now they are closed, but they were not doing so bad. They were doing better than American shopping center at the same time.
Very good. Elie, move on to the next question, and then I'll come back. What do you expect to be changes of customer requirements or demands on residential real estate as a result of this pandemic?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What do you expect to change in terms of customer requirements or demands on residential real estate as a result of the pandemic?
Probably every apartment will have a small office into his apartment. Probably. Small office, maybe 2 by 3 meters, no more than this. Big house will have a bigger space for this housing office. I think this came to stay. But big companies will not be in the houses. They need an office, they need a space, they need a luxury place. So I don't think the AAA market will have problems.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, I have a small editorial as I am involved with quite a bit of work ever since I was a child in Brazil. But one of the things is, as Simone said, Brazilians are very generous, but they haven't had a tradition of channeling that generosity.
The awareness, not the awareness.
Its awareness is there. So I really hope that your example will, and certainly we had a meeting yesterday with some Brazilian young professionals. I think that's changing. And maybe you have a perspective on whether you've seen change in your colleagues other than the ones you've spoken about already.
Yes, for sure. Yesterday on this group, I think we had 25 people around 30 years old, and one of them discussed that they created a NGO, and it's global, and it's called almost like, I think it's Generation Pledge, and they are working on the kids, on the children of your generation that made the money, on the children that will inherit the money, to make sure that they are also committed to do the donations. Marina Pfeffer, and I spoke to Suzy Efromovich, that he lives in New York.
Yes.
Yeah, and he works with that. So he's
Very
part
good
of
idea.
the chamber. Yeah.
Very good idea. Very good
So
idea.
they are doing a lot of that because they think that, you know, the millennials in general will have a different mentality for that. And a lot of the second generation is willing to give. How was with your kids when you decided to give?
They told me, instead of giving after death, give it during your life. Is that what I'm trying to do?
Yeah. They supported.
They supported.
Yeah. I know that you don't like to talk politics, but do you see anything or any prediction of at least not who is going to be the next president, but like the main players or the main candidates for the next election in Brazil?
I prefer you invite me next speech. I will tell you some secret.
Okay, combinado. John, if you don't have other questions or some others, because I know Mr. Elie has like a short time with us.
No, I'm fine. He wanted to make a last statement, which is...
Yeah.
Yes. What is unity? God is one. God is not divided in two. What is a couple? When there is passion, when there is love, a couple is one. Two, when they are divided, there are two persons. What is a family with a child? When there is love, is one unity again. When you have energy at the same time, light at the same time, energy and particle. Both together are one entity, one unity. Soul is spiritual, the body is material. At the end of time, soul and body will unite, will be one. So everything will go back to God, to be one. So that is the meaning of the philosophy. We are nothing alone. We are a lot of things together. When we make a unity, we must be united with everybody, with all the society, all the nation, all the world, to be united with God. That is a message for everybody. Be united, help united, be one, be the maximum possible.
Thank you so much, Sir Elie. It was a real pleasure to have you with us. Thank you for everything you are doing not only as a businessman, but mainly as a human being. And I hope you inspire many others to do the same. Certainly you are inspiring us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Bless the bank and bless all the Americans.
I also wanted to thank you, Elie. It's been a real honor. And thank you, Simone, for putting together such an excellent discussion. And thank you all for joining us. I just wanted to remind you that our next webinar will take place next Tuesday, June 2nd, for a discussion with the Banco Central Director, Fabio Kansuki, and Opportunity Asset Management's Marcelo Fonseca, in the next edition called Brazil's Monetary Policy Response to the Pandemic. Thank you all for attending, and stay healthy and in good spirits.